Hey, thanks for logging on to 12 Plus, the 12 News YouTube page, 12news.com. Kevin Cox, Lita Washington, Jake Garcia. The 12 Sports team has assembled here to talk about all things Valley Sports, the 12 Sports Triple Threat. Guys, why is there so much drama in this city? Lena, you are our, expert on all of that.
Sure.
TV show, pop culture, everything.
And the local girl, of course.
Yeah, of course. Why is there so much drama in this city? Like, what are we doing?
Because the Suns are the greatest soap opera you could ask for in the spring and ideally into the summer, right? When all the shows go on their summer break. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if we'll get basketball beyond April at this point because the Suns aren't even in play-in territory. I mean, who could have thought that this would have been so disastrous when Coach Bud was brought in as the hometown guy, living the dream, coming back from some time away from the game and taking over the team that he grew up watching, hugging Al McCoy in one of the final moments of Al being present here with us on Earth and with the Suns. And then it's just turned into a sour, bitter kind of twisting and turning of the season finale that's coming up with just about 22 games left in the regular season. You've got the center not talking to the coach. He's shipped off. Then you've got Devin Booker, the face of the franchise, allegedly getting called into a meeting with Coach Bud and being asked to tone it down vocally, not to really be a coach, not to be a leader. Coach Bud says, I have a lot of conversations with Book. It's all good. That's what we do. That's a player-coach relationship. Book comes out and says, everything's gravy. I mean, we have a great relationship. So I would say best actor and supporting actor go to those two if we're talking about Oscars season and awards or Tonys or Emmys, whatever you want to give out, because they're playing it up for the cameras, of course, and the drama and the tension is not coming forward to us here in the media, but it's getting leaked out, and you can see the frustration is mounting, and it should, because they should not be in this position with three superstars and the investment that they've made in this team from the top, from Matt Ishbia. Man, it has just been a ride, and I don't know where this is going to end, especially in the offseason. You got Kevin Durant being thrown into trade talks. How does he come back from that? I mean, Jake, what would you even do if you were Matt Ishbia or James Jones in this situation?
Hold on, Jake. I want to talk to you for a second.
You're not letting me be GM right now?
Well, no, hold on 1 second.
Or owner, I should say.
Oh, yeah, hold on 1 second. I didn't even ask Lena a question. She just went off on it. That's how you know the drama was crazy.
I had to unload it all.
She just knew she had some stuff she needed to get off her chest. She just went ahead and said it, whatever the best
They didn't even have to
was.
play me off the stage. They said, keep going, girl.
We didn't have to even pose a question. And, Jake, if you could tell who in this office watches the Grammys.
Yeah.
All the award shows.
I actually appreciate her running through everything from the season opener until now because there's been so many different twists and turns to all this that it's mind-numbing. And you can't keep it all straight. Every day it seems like there's a new thing. And the season has gone off the rails. I think we can all agree on that. To answer the question that Lena posed to me, I think the only option here is to rebuild. I think
rebuild or retool?
Rebuild. I think if you build, that means trading Kevin Durant. That means probably building around Devin Booker. And anything else that doesn't support that mission is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy, and it's only going to set you back further. I personally feel like the Suns were not prepared. They were caught off guard during the trade deadline because they didn't have a clear direction of what they wanted to accomplish. Are they trading Bradley Beal to get Jimmy Butler and to go all in this season? They had one foot in that door, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know what? No, we're thinking about trading Kevin Durant because those picks are all of a sudden super valuable to us. But you brought in Nick Richards and sent away picks to get him in. So it just felt like there was no clear-cut identity of what they wanted to do. And the worst thing you can do in professional sports, this applies to baseball, basketball, football, is having one foot in and one foot out. If there's no direction, if there's no, this is what we're working towards, then what are we even doing? You get to a point where you set yourself back years, and I'm afraid that's what the Suns are looking at right now.
Jake, real quick, to go back to the trade, it did come out that they never went to directly to Bradley Beal. We're like, hey, man, do you want to waive your no trade clause? You have any of those conversations like that? To me, I think that was a mistake. Listen, in a day and age of transparency, that's one thing we haven't seen a lot from the Suns. I feel like with this whole process, whether it's been, coaching staff, the offense not working, this whole thing with Book, it just doesn't seem like the investment fully is there. And if you were really looking to change this roster, and we all know it's going to need changes moving forward, massive changes. I agree with you, Jake, retooling around Devin Booker.
You said rebuild, not even retool.
Retool, however you want to phrase that. Sure, however you want to phrase that, but you got to trade Kevin Durant. My point is, if you needed this roster to change, like, to me, you should have started with Bradley Beal. This is why we got to do that. Because you're in the same spot you already were. It's fighting for a play-in tournament. They don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
They're back to 2013 at this point, really.
I wouldn't go that far as a basement because it was a pretty dark days there. But you're looking at really getting rid of some star power. I thought they should have gone to Bradley Beal. And then all of a sudden, you throw Kevin Durant a curveball because you knew Bradley Beal was never going to waive that no-trade clause.
And why would he?
To me, it was exactly. Why would he, Lena? He likes it here. His family likes it here.
And he has that power. He's one of 2 people in the league who have that power. Anyone who thought he would do that is crazy.
You knew what you were getting when you traded for someone like that with the no-trade clause. It's just part of it. So to me, that's disappointing. They didn't at least try to go down that road. Then threw KD a curveball. Then KD reportedly said no to the deal, however you want to phrase it, whether he turned the Suns no, whether, it got back to Golden State that he didn't want to go back there. Either way, Kevin Durant wasn't moving. The most disappointing thing, I think, guys, in this year is just how disconnected this team is to this city. Lena, you were here. Jake, I know you watched from afar.
Right.
When they went to the finals. But the magic that the Suns had in this city was unlike things people have never seen before. I know a lot of people remember 93 when they lost to the Bulls. 300,000 people showed up right down the street, right outside the arena to celebrate a second-place team. If the Suns would have said, hey, we're going to throw another second-place parade in this city after losing to the finals, this city would have showed up to celebrate this team. That's how connected they were to this organization. And the most disappointing thing ever since then is that they have just taken everything special that has been with that team, that team was about, and has just kind of stripped it away. Whether it's leadership, whether it was help for Devin Booker, whether it was dogs around Devin Booker, whether it was guys who brought attitude, whether it's guys who brought physicality, smartness to the game, like all the above is just not there with this team. This city, to me, cannot be more disconnected with this group, whether it starts up top with Bud and kind of his lackadaisical attitude towards things. Like, listen,
but that's been the case since the start of the season, honestly.
And that was the case with Frank Vogel, and he showed up and made some noise too late in the season, and it was already
they laughed
out
at
the
Frank
door.
when he got a technical foul. I don't know if y'all remember that towards the end of last year. Like, the guys were like, what is Frank doing? What's happening here? But with Bud, it's like he knows what our city's about. He knows what this valley is about. And we just haven't seen that level of investment, at least publicly in front of the cameras from him. Listen, I'm sure he cares. I'm sure he cares. It's his job to care, right? But our city needs to see some of that. They need to see something like everything you want is on the other side of hard, which is a Monty Williams line that he used to say back in the day. Like, we need to feel some of that aggression and anger from Bud about how this season is not going. He's got to let us know, hey, man, I'm in the trenches there with you. Like, let fans know that. It's sad that it took Devin Booker, who doesn't do that a lot, and I know behind the scenes is trying to hold people accountable, had to go to the mic and basically call out the team. That's about as frustrated as I've ever heard Book in his career, and shots towards guys on his team like, hey, y'all need to pick it up.
And here's the thing. I mean, they are getting further and further away from where they were in 2021. And the only 2 things
they're getting further and further away from last year, Lita.
Absolutely. I mean, they're getting further off the cliff, teetering back into irrelevance, quite frankly, when you're talking about being one of the worst 4 teams in the West. But they're getting further from the goal, and you have 2 people who have been here to experience that. That's James Jones, the general manager, and now Devin Booker. And I just want to say one thing, too. Kevin Durant has done everything he can as a professional, as one of the greatest in the game, to bring what he can to this team. He has been the most consistent, the most available of the big 3 in the last 2 seasons specifically. I mean, he has given it all to this team in all the miles that are on his body in this stage of his career. He deserves to be part of a winner, and I am disappointed for him and his mom that he doesn't get to experience the highlight in the twilight of his career. But I just want to give him props, because if this is one of the final times we get to see him in a Phoenix jersey in these next 6 weeks, granted, if they don't make it to the play-in or make it to the playoffs, he has represented the Valley, and it has been such a joy and an honor to cover him, and to say that he was representing Phoenix, I think is something that fans should not take for granted, and show him some respect for what he's done to keep this team together behind the scenes, on the court. I just want to say that, because his name being thrown around in trade talks or being scrutinized.
It's all they have left, right, Lena?
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Asset-wise, it makes sense,
That's
right?
the only direction they can go in, is trade Kevin.
Unfortunately.
I agree, and I also completely agree with everything that Lena said. I think that a lot of people point the finger at the Kevin Durant trade as where all of this went wrong, sending over a huge package of very solid complementary pieces to get a big star. I personally think that no team with Kevin Durant playing at the level that he's still playing at, with Devin Booker, being Devin Booker, maybe a down season, but, still one of the better players in the league.
Yeah. I mean, set a franchise record for points.
Exactly. No team with those two pieces should be in the situation that they're in. And so what does that point to? It doesn't point down to the pieces around them. It points to the top. It points to the leadership from the head coach and the direction from the general manager and the owner.
I think it also points to some pieces around them, too, as well. Devin Booker had that famous line, was it before the season last year? Whenever these three got together, it's like, who's going to stop us? They thought they were just going to outscore everybody. And I was thinking about this the other night. That makes sense, right? You got three of the best scorers in basketball all out there on the floor at the same time, whether there's a point guard, whether there's not a point guard, doesn't matter. They're all out there, and you would think they could all drop 30. That's 90, and then everybody else gets some points. That's 120, we call it a day, right? But here's the flip side of that I don't think they put enough idea into.
There's another team on the other side of the floor who might have three superstars that can score 90 points a night.
No, Lena, it's the lack of defense that we're seeing. So those three guys are all got to be count on to score a bunch and to outscore teams, right? Now, guess what? Since they're on the floor so much, those three, not only do they have to score, but they got to play defense the entire game too as well. And I think that's where they've kind of cut this short. We all see the Suns. Where do they struggle? Defense, hustle, youth. They can't keep up with teams like OKC and the Cavs and all these other teams, the Rockets too as well. They can't keep up with these young teams because they just don't have enough pieces around them. And you're expected the big three to do everything. And it's what you have when you have a big three, but that's why I just don't think it's working. And it hasn't worked, and it's not going to work because they can't outscore teams. Those three can't play defense the entire game. And collectively as a whole, as we all see, they're not a very good defensive team. Back to Coach Bud real quick. The couple reasons he succeeded in Milwaukee is because he had three all-defensive team players on his team, plus P.J. Walker. So that's four guys on your team that are known for playing defense the entire game. Then you had Giannis running through people's chests, running you over, and then kicking you out for an open three. The Suns don't have any of that. They don't have one person that's going to run you over. Nick Richards is trying, but they don't do enough pick and roll. They don't have guys that can play defense or that are known to play defense at a high level. We've seen KD do it. We've seen Book do it. But we're talking about just known to be a defensive guy the entire game. That's where they're struggling. This collective group together, it just doesn't work. Jake, to your point on that trade to KD, you make it. You make it over and over again. It's just what you do. It's just what you do in basketball. I don't like the pieces that they gave up. I don't like that you took some of the heart and soul out of this team, but you still make it. But moving forward, you now see what it takes. You need that heart. You need that soul. You need that hustle. You need guys who can play defense. The talent of a team is more important than the talent of a big three. And I think that's hopefully the directions the Suns go moving forward.
One last thing for me, part of the job of a head coach
is to figure that out, right?
To instill those things and to hit on the right lineup combinations that bring those elements
and he has it, right, Jake?
Yeah, so, I mean, the simple question is, why has Ryan Dunn not been given all the opportunity in the world to become that guy? Because we know he's that guy when we see him in limited spurts. That's what the Suns need right now, but Bud doesn't think that.
Bud doesn't play. And also with Tyus Jones, I think he has kind of shot his confidence too as well. You know, you've put Tyus Jones just after he hands the ball off to Katie or Book, he goes straight to the corner and just stands there. And now as a spot-up shooter, like, why not? Run the offense through him. The Ryan Dunn thing, Jake, it, like, makes my head hurt because it's like he plays all this time in the All-Star game. Has a great All-Star weekend, right? Comes back and plays like 7 seconds the next game. I watched him the other night. It was right after a game where he didn't play. And, like, he played like 7 minutes. An awful 7 minutes, by the way. Airballed a shot, didn't miss another shot, was just fouled like 2 people really quickly. He's all of a sudden now trying to make something happen when he's in the game. game because he's not used to getting these reps and playing like he was at the beginning of the season when he knew he could make some mistakes, when he knew he was going to have this, kind of range out there on the court. You kind of taken that from him. I blame Bud a lot here for kind of all these different combos that they've thrown at this lineup this year. KD should have played the 3 all year. Let Bol start at the 4. Like, look what Bol and his impact that he has. We didn't even see
burst
Bol
onto the scene. He's a fan favorite. They chant his name every game at PHX Arena, but he has been on fire.
It could have helped Lena all year.
Yeah.
We all thought KD should have played the 3 all year instead of down there and just posting up people at the power forward position. Like, let Bol go down there and go a little bit. Like, but we don't see that till the end of the year when they're just throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's been very frustrating to kind of figure that, to watch Bud figure out these rotations, and they haven't whatsoever, right?
No, clearly not.
All right, have we yelled about that enough?
Yeah, let's move on to the other team that's in a rebuild as well.
Let's move on to some happier
neighbors.
times.
They're the sister team.
There we go.
The one that shares PHX Arena?
I hate this.
Yes.
But apparently a new name's coming at some point. All right, of course, the Mercury are going to look very different this year. No DT, no BG. They got a new group of all-stars who we'll get to know as we get closer in the season. But the big news this week, Diana Taurasi has Taurasi.
Get it
Whoopi,
together,
come
kid.
on.
Yeah.
Good
That's
to see
what
you
happens.
too, Whippy.
That's what happens
Someone
when they
left
go
her
on
hanging. That's
these
a bad
national
producer.
shows that don't know these people. But come here. Come home. Do the press conference. You bring the view here if you want to do something like that.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's my rant. Diana Taurasi.
I'll be the Joy Behar of the group if I must.
Retiring after 20 seasons in the W, a bunch of all-stars, bunch of awards, finals, championships, college, best player of all time, GOAT, the White Mamba. We could go on and on. Lena, as someone who grew up here, her impact. I have a thought on this, but I'll start with you first. Her impact on the Valley. What are you going to remember about DT here?
I mean, she is the Valley. She is Valley sports. She's on the Mount Rushmore of all-time athletes to come through Arizona. She's not from here. She's made this her home. Yeah. She built her family here. She is the face of the franchise. Those kids
are grown up, by the way.
Yes,
every time we see them, they grown up.
She was flying to go, be with Penny in delivery during the finals a couple of years ago. Flew back. Obviously, we know how things turned out, but yeah. I will never forget one of my first assignments here was covering the 2021 WNBA finals. They had to move the game to Arizona State's campus because there was Disney on Ice in downtown Phoenix. They didn't plan, I guess, for a long playoff run.
They wouldn't do that anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is brutal. They played at GCU, they played at ASU, but I was one of 3 people talking to Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, and Skylar Diggins-Smith, and Sandy Brondello at the time. And as someone who grew up here, who watched the Mercury come here, who was part of the junior Mercury hip-hop squad as a young girl, who grew up going to games when my father worked at America West Arena, to see what she has done for the Valley and how loyal she has been, I don't know if it will ever be replicated in this landscape. And we should be so, so grateful that she has represented Phoenix, the Mercury, and has done it at the highest level. We have the new generation coming up. Sure, those records are meant to be broken, right?
They will be. And they will be.
Yeah. But those are high bars to clear. The all-time winningest Olympian for Team USA basketball. I mean, there are no words. There are no other ways to describe Diana Taurasi. To have a court dedicated to you while you're on the team, I mean, to have a street named after you while you're still in your prime, bringing 3 championships to the Valley and representing again with the utmost professionalism, poise. She's gone through a lot. I mean, as the representative of this team, everything that BG went through, to go through all the coaching changes, to go through an ownership change, to go overseas and play, to come and make a career out of this career with the lack of exposure and pay that these women were receiving up until recently when the W really blew up and exposure was provided to mainstream, so they understood kind of the plight of these women, right? I mean, she will always be the standard for Mercury players, for WNBA players. All due respect to those who came before, the Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Cheryl Mill, all of those. Yep. But as someone who grew up here, watched her play, and got to cover her, I mean, that is an ultimate dream. So thank you, DT, for everything. Thank you, Penny, for letting her hang out in Phoenix and do her thing
after all those years
than maybe she wanted to. But she stayed true to what she said. When the game's not fun, when the work becomes hard, she'll bow out. She didn't want a farewell tour like Sue, her BFF, had. But I know the tease of If This Is It gave fans an opportunity to show out, show up, and show their love for the GOAT.
Jake, what you got?
That was a beautiful encapsulation of the best WNBA career that I've seen from start to finish.
Yeah.
I think what I go back to is the point that Lena made about just kind of like the trials and tribulations of being a WNBA or a women's professional basketball player when she came up. I don't think it gets appreciated enough just how grueling of a schedule that is. Not only doing the Caitlin Clark, which Caitlin Clark had to do this year, but going from a college season where you make a deep run, win a national championship, make it to the Final Four, and then weeks later turn around and start another season in the WNBA. That is insane.
Sure.
But then for Diana Taurasi to do something that Caitlin Clark won't have to do, and that's to go overseas.
To Russia.
And play 12, 15 years over there. And like, that is so demanding and taxing on your body. She is on the LeBron James level of just like taking care of your body and body maintenance, because like it's insane just the longevity and the peak that she sustained for so long. So I think that doesn't get appreciated enough. I also know that just like going back and watching old clips of her, she was a walking bucket.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. She just like.
And a walking technical foul.
That comes with the territory.
Sure.
You know,
You want that dog, right?
Yeah.
By the way, she retired first in WNBA history with technical fouls.
She's proud of that.
They made
a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're so much better than everyone around you, you have to hold yourself and the people around you to a high standard. Then that includes the refs. So, but yeah, just going back and watching old clips of her, like the way that she moved on a basketball court, it was different than everyone else. The way she handled the basketball, she could create shots that nobody else could. And I feel like just because the WNBA didn't get the level of exposure that it's at now, we kind of forget just like how transcendent of a talent she was.
That was before social media.
Yes.
Missed all those social media clips she was draining those buckets. Jake, real quick, you talked to one of her former teammates and had a great story. Do you mind sharing it with all?
Yeah. Blanking on it really quick. So former ASU great Breon January.
Yep.
So Breon January's rookie season, she's playing for the Indiana Fever. That is when Diana Taurasi and the Mercury make it to the WNBA Finals, and the two of those teams go head-to-head. So January talked about just like her level for respect for Taurasi going up to that game, January attending ASU, just having a front row seat to Taurasi kind of.
She was a dog when she was a Sun Devil as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And you saw that dog in her on one play in game 2 where she stole a ball, took it to the other end of the court, goes up for a layup, and inadvertently throws an elbow.
Like a good elbow.
To who?
Penny Taylor.
One Penny Taylor.
And that ended up breaking Penny Taylor's nose.
She went walking off the court like this.
Causing her to miss the rest of the game. She would come back in the series and have various pivotal moments in that series. But fast forward a few years later, Breon January is a few weeks away from coming to the Mercury and becoming teammates with Diana Taurasi when Taylor was in the front office of the Mercury. And so she said that there was that level of are we past that? Or is this going to be addressed? Are we okay? Everything all right? And so she said she was not going to bring that up until she felt confident that Taurasi was, a good person, first of all, which she quickly learned that she was. And after a while of playing with her, she was like, are we all good there? Everything good? And turns out things were okay.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite stories of, talking to people about Diana Taurasi this week.
Jake, and it's been great. As you mentioned the archives, I went through a lot of the stuff this week and the moments, some things that stuck out with me about DT. I remember when Kobe Bryant came to visit, brought his little mamacitas, the basketball team, in to the Mercury locker room, and there's a great shot of DT and Kobe hugging. And I remember rushing to the arena as soon as the Mercury put out a tweet on that. And I actually got a chance to talk to DT, BG, Sandy Brondello about Kobe being there. And, you knew that Kobe was like her inspiration, but her childhood hero, but you just didn't know how close, they really were. Mm-hmm. We all saw that when she spoke at his, memorial service out there in LA, how well they knew each other. The White Mamba nickname was given to her from Kobe. There's no better nickname for Diana Taurasi than to be the women's basketball version of Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely.
And so I remember that. I also found so many different things of DT out in the community, whether it was bagging groceries at Fry's every year, wherever they went with the Mercury. And she's the greatest women's basketball player of all time. And yet there she is at a grocery store with her teammates, like talking to some mom, taking time out to shop with this little kid, or at the park doing something
dedicating
with fans,
courts.
or dedicating courts, or getting to the game early and spending so much time with fans before. There are tons of Mercury fans who know Diana on a first name basis. Both of it goes both ways. And that's all because of the time she took to spend in our community, with the Valley, with people. And I just thought some of those moments were really cool to see. Lena, you mentioned some of the trailblazers of this business. I grew up in Houston, was a big-time Comets fan, went to all 4 of those parades. You know, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, Cynthia Cooper.
Sure.
You mentioned Lisa Leslie. Here, you know, the Mighty Mercury song. I'm not going to sing it.
Jennifer Gillum,
Jennifer Gillum, Cheryl Miller,
OG.
Michelle Timms, all those women who built this game. Diana was in charge with growing the game. So those women laid the foundation. Hey, it's here. The WNBA is here. We're starting this new league. Here's the excitement. Here's the basketball. It was DT's job to carry that torch to this generation now. And I thought about that the other night. And to Jake's point, like how hard that was. Social media wasn't around. Those women, you know, they dressed in locker rooms that, like, probably LA Fitness.
The W was going through an identity crisis
was
at that
nicer
time
than
as
back
well.
in the day. They didn't play in the right arenas. They didn't get the same travel. You know, you name it, she went through it all and had to carry that torch to what it is now. And that, to me, has to be the hardest job ever in this league's history. You launch the league, okay, but now you got to sustain the league and get it to where it is now. And DT deserves. Now, there's other women too that have helped between now and then. We could all name them.
Absolutely.
You know, her best friends too as well. But for her to be the face, the trailblazer, she is the logo. She is, just so we're clear, that is her on that logo.
And
she'll never admit it.
Yeah.
But for her to do all that, for her to
who else
carry
wears a
this
slick
league,
back bun like that?
exactly.
Come on,
For her to carry this league to what it is now, I just hope people realize what that all entails, and I hope she gets her flowers for that, because that was not easy to get to this point, to where now these younger superstars and to where this game is, and the contracts that's coming for TV and social media, and everybody eating now really well and going to continue to eat. There were people that started the league. There were people that carried the league, including DT, to where it is now. And now it's just going to go like this. And I just think that's really cool when you look back on it. Like, she was the one to hold that thing together. And that, to me, that's just neat.
Absolutely. And my last thought on this, too, is Nick Uren, the new general manager, a local guy, he has a tall order ahead of him.
Yeah.
Creating a new identity for this team. It's going to look completely different. Kalia Copper is now essentially the face of the franchise because she's the only starter still left. Sophie Cunningham gone. I mean, BG gone. The X Factor is probably going to go through a little bit of a transition, culture change.
You have to learn a new team.
Absolutely. So, you know, you hope that he's able to take this team, this franchise, into the new era post-DT and find that same success, find that same excitement, and bring another championship and you know, get that work in at a Diana Taurasi court down the street here. And it's been amazing to watch what she has been able to bring to this Valley. But now it's about what's next and how does this team stay relevant, stay exciting, find the new face, that new, I don't want to say DT, but who someone can rally around, who's going to represent this Valley like that in the community, on the court, in the numbers, on the box score, as well as the personality in the locker room. Who will be that person? It remains to be seen. Big, big shoes to fill.
Lena, you mentioned that practice facility and that court that's named after her. That's another thing. Like, that was the big talk when All-Star Weekend was here.
That was a big event.
Everyone was
there.
Thank you, DT, because without you, that $100 million practice facility exclusively for women's sports does not
One of
happen.
the few.
Yeah. All right, let's get you out here on this, guys. We've yapped enough. Must see in March. Jake, we'll start with you. What are you watching for in March? There's a long list of things.
Yeah, but for me, it's really one thing, and that's
fantasy baseball.
No, that's well, sort of, but D-backs opening day.
Oh, there we go.
At the end of March. MLB season starts in Japan this year between the Cubs and the Dodgers, and then a week later the real, you know, opening day happens.
Yeah.
I can't wait, because I think the D-backs have a good mix of really exciting core pieces on the position player front, and then a rotation that is among the best in baseball. Maybe they don't have the same upside as the Dodgers do, but just in terms of stability, I think like there are so many ways for the D-backs to have success this year. I think it would be a catastrophic failure if they don't make it back to the playoffs. And I think they find the right magic in October and they can make a run. So definitely excited for the start of opening day. Corbin Barrels looks like he's poised for a big year. Hopefully that injury that he suffered today is minor. But yeah, just really excited for the start of baseball season.
Yeah, Jake, so I'm going to go with baseball too as well. I'm more interested in just seeing how the decisions play out. Like, I assume I know who's going to be in this rotation for the D-backs. We assume it's going to be Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt. Like, we assume those are going to be the 5 guys. I'm looking forward to the decision. You've had some baseball insiders who believe Zach Gallen is lining up to start opening day. Like, is that a thing where, like, Gallen is 1, Burns is 2, even though Corbin Burns wanted the ball game 1, inning 1 of spring training? Not like it matters, but we're just getting into kind of the weeds.
And he's the guy you invested in the offseason to be the ace.
Jordan Montgomery, is he going to be anything we thought after this finger injury, or is he just going to be the long reliever in the bullpen? Like, kind of weird. I just want to see these decisions quickly play out. What do they do with a guy like Ryan Nelson, who pitched so well for them too as well?
He was amazing.
Somebody told me, and I want to double check, that Ryan Nelson was a closer at Oregon. And listen, I know the D-backs still need a closer, and I know they got 3 guys up for Justin Martinez, A.J. Puck, and Kevin Ginkel. But there is few you trusted more to get outs last year than Ryan Nelson. Sure. I don't think they would ever consider it. I haven't even heard them mention anything about changing him from a starter. But if he has to go to the bullpen, forget sending him to AAA. Put him somewhere where you trust him to get outs. My thoughts. Interesting to see how this lineup shakes out. Who's going to step it up with Jock Peterson and Christian Walker gone? They're going to need some offense. Josh Naylor's crazy, as we've seen. Hopefully he can provide that too as well.
Yeah, protect your neck, because he's going to headbutt
just
you.
Just headbutting people all the time. I just want to see this team perform, Jake. So to piggyback off what you're saying, it's not the NCAA tournament for me. It's not to see where the Suns kind of fall in their drama. It's baseball, and it's what the D-backs are going to do. Listen, I just want to tell folks, that's a talented baseball team. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
That's a very good baseball team, and they didn't spend $1 gazillion to form it. It's a homegrown baseball team full of a lot of young talent that have grown up through the D-back system. They've added some pieces. It's a good baseball team, and as they've shown, you don't have to spend $1 gazillion to beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. Yeah. Lena?
Baseball season, super exciting. Can't wait to be out there. Hopefully the roof is open at Chase Field.
It's fixed. Apparently. They can open it.
Apparently. We'll find out. I know
I don't think they got new cables. I just think they fixed something.
Well, as long as they keep the light show that they introduced last season with the sick bass unts, to get the pregame vibes going. That was pretty cool.
Sure.
A great investment there. I'm going to go and stick with the women's basketball tip and go a little March Madness because, Lopes up.
Yeah.
Molly Miller and the GCU women's basketball team has had a historic season for the program, for women's basketball, longest winning streak in the country, longest winning streak in program history, home wins. They have done everything you could do as a program except for win the conference tournament championship, and that is what I'm looking forward to seeing. They have cruised through the WAC. And I believe this is the year that they can do it. Maybe shock some folks in the NCAA tournament in the big dance. We saw the men's team do the same in Spokane, and I was there. It was wild to watch the Havocs just take over Spokane Arena. I know they will do the same for the women's team. If they can be everywhere, they will be everywhere. But Molly Miller and the Lopes with Alyssa Durazo-Frescas, who was one of the best three-point shooters in the country for a stretch. She dealt with a little injury, but
Steph Curry of college basketball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a moment in last night's game where she stole the ball and in transition, instead of going in for a 3-on-1 opportunity for an easy layup, she pulled up. From behind.
Because that's what she does.
Yeah.
And you know what's great. Her teammates tell me we don't even know if we have to go get the rebound because she's going to make it. She's a walking bucket. So rooting for the Lopes to represent the Valley, get over that hump, make some more history, and maybe take us on a ride for some March Madness.
Lopes up. Like the sound of that. Guys, thanks.